Now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Dani Dayan, Chairman of the Yad Vashem Directorate, for his word.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Holocaust survivors and their families, Madam Speaker, and members of the Seimas, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Abba Kovner, a leader of the Vilna Ghetto's partisan fighters, who grew up in this city, in Vilnius, wrote in one of his books the following. One day, my son told me, "Dad, I would like to go to Vilna with you, and you could show me where it all happened." My son was surprised when I told him, "Son, that place doesn't exist anymore. Strangers live in my house. We can't go see it. The school where I learned Hebrew has become a lumber shed. The ghetto was plowed. There is no memorial for the Beit Midrash of the Vilna Gaon. The Jewish streets have been turned into sport fields, public parks. And because all that is gone," so Abba Kovner said to his son, "that place has no meaning anymore." I stand before you today in Vilnius, in the parliament of a democratic and independent Lithuania, and that is a great privilege for me. Yet, I feel sad, very sad. Sad because the places where Kovner and his fellow Jews, my fellow Jews, lived before the Shoah, the legendary Yerushalayim Delita, no longer exists. The Beit Midrash of the Vilna Gaon is no more. The old Jewish market is gone. Hundreds of thousands of Lithuanian Jews were murdered in this country by the Germans and by their Lithuanian collaborators. Almost the entire Jewish community of Lithuania became extinct. The totality of the destruction of such a community, a remarkably vibrant Jewish community, almost like none other, of such a creative Jewish culture, annihilated so cruelly, so systematically during the Shoah, during the Holocaust, and to a significant extent by the local population, is characteristically distinct to Lithuania. Insane, poisonous anti-Semitic hatred eradicated an entire civilization, my civilization, here in your homeland. To quote the words attributed to the prophet Jeremiah in the book of Lamentations, "Alele ani buchia, eini yorda mayim, ki rachak mimeni mechnachem mashiv nafshi. For these things I weep. My eye runs down with tears, because the Comforter is far from me." Still, I dare with great consideration and respect to partially disagree with Abba Kovner, especially regarding his final words, that that place has no meaning anymore. Because for me, for so many Jews, for Lithuanians and others, that place, call it Vilnius or Vilna, or as the Yiddish pronunciation, Vilne, does have meaning, now and in the future. It must have meaning. Madam Speaker, this is my second visit to Lithuania in less than 12 months. I have met your Prime Minister and the Speaker of the Parliament, both in Vilnius and in Jerusalem. I met with your foreign minister, whose great-grandmother, Ona Jablonski-Landsbergini of blessed memory, has been recognized as a righteous among the nations, and today his son honors us here with his presence. I'm encouraged by their understanding of the issues. I am encouraged by the understanding of the issues concerning Holocaust remembrance in Lithuania. Significant actions are still to take place, but the attitude of the current Lithuanian leadership and of this parliament, of this Seimas, gives me hope. We are encouraged by gradual but substantial progress made over the years in Lithuania, including important initiatives regarding Holocaust remembrance and preservation of Jewish heritage, some of them together in cooperation with Yad Vashem. But unfortunately, I must say that not yet enough progress has been made. To the attitudes expressed and policies carried out by much of your country's leadership and some of the resolutions adopted lately by this Seimas, by this parliament, are cause of hope, for hope. A great deal yet remains to be accomplished. Our task will not be completed until this understanding is not only part and parcel of your leadership, of your parliament, but trickles down to the very last member of the Lithuanian civil society. I am inspired to respectfully but clearly touch upon this sensitive topic by the example of memory of one of my predecessors as chairman of Yad Vashem, the late Yitzhak Rudnitsky Arad, also known as Tolka. He's known the girl as a partisan. Tolka was born in Svencionis, fought in the woods against the Nazis and their collaborators, and even infiltrated the Vilna ghetto to assist. Dr. Arad became a prominent historian of the Holocaust and contributed greatly to its research and remembrance. Tolka passed away in May 2021, shortly before I became chairman of Yad Vashem. And I know that he would have urged me to declare here before you, the distinguished Seimas, that an anti-Semite, especially a murderer of Jews, cannot be considered otherwise a good person. An anti-Semite is an anti-Semite is an anti-Semite. For sure, he cannot be considered a hero. In addition to refraining from attributing public honor to such butchers, Lithuania must consistently acknowledge that many of the Lithuanian Jews massacred in the Holocaust died at the hands of their Lithuanian connationals. And Lithuanians also took part in the extermination of Jews in neighboring countries. Such recognition is obviously owed to the Jewish victims, but also, and probably even more, to the present and future generations of Lithuanians. Forgetfulness is a wrong educational option for your youth. We should show zero tolerance towards anti-Semitism, including anti-Semitism in this chamber. This zero tolerance policy must apply also towards glorification of war criminals associated with the massacre of Jews. Such names as Noreika, Skirpa, Kristaponis do not add to the honor of your nation, nor to its adherence to international norms of appropriate national remembrance. Distinguished members of the Seimas, Lithuanian history during the Holocaust indeed contained admirable rescuers. I myself, together with the Prime Minister, bestowed the title of Righteous Among the Nations on several of those heroes and heroines here in Vilnius last year in the Prime Minister's office. But Lithuanian history during the Holocaust also included vile perpetrators and, of course, many, many bystanders. All of them must be remembered accurately, proportionately, and in context. That is precisely why the ongoing efforts to promote accurate Holocaust research, documentation, education, and commemoration are so essential. In this respect, Yad Vashem pledges to continue working together with Lithuania, with its government, with its parliament, with its civil society, to accelerate the process and make it more comprehensive. Madam Speaker, next Sunday at sundown, on the 10th day of the Hebrew month of Tishrei, Jews all over the world will mark Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. I will be at home in Israel, living proudly and safely in a sovereign and independent Jewish state. But having returned barely 48 hours earlier from Vilnius, I am quite sure that my thoughts during Yom Kippur prayers will wander to a very different Yom Kippur, 81 years ago. In 1942, the 21st of September, today's date, was Yom Kippur. That same day, Herman Kruk wrote in his diary here in Vilnius the following: preparations have been made for Yom Kippur. The high point was to be the prayers in the theater auditorium. The hall is filled with Jews who have come to observe the holiday. Everyone is waiting for the chief of the Jewish council. He enters and puts on a prayer shawl. A great lament breaks out. It is the wind of Ponar, of death, of the children, women, and men who have been torn away. Herman Kruk somehow survived the Vilna ghetto, but he did not survive the Holocaust. In September 1944, 2 years after he wrote this lamentation of the murder of the Lithuanian Jewry, during Rosh Hashanah of that year, 8 days before Yom Kippur, 1 day after he managed to bury his diaries for safekeeping, and only 1 day before liberation, Herman Kruk was murdered by the Nazis in the Lagedi concentration camp in Estonia. Together with the other prisoners, he was forced to carry logs to a pile, spread them in a layer, lie down naked on them, and executed. The bodies were to be burned in a massive fire. Let me conclude with the words of the ancient Jewish prayer for the souls of those who have passed on. Merciful God, who dwells above, provide a sure rest on the wings of the divine presence amongst the holy and pure who shine as brightly as the sky to the souls of the 6 million. El male rachamim, shochen במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת 6 המיליונים. Thank you so much.
Thank you.